Guys, this is Peter. I'm the creator of the customer-centric financial model for restaurants. And obviously you are on my website or on the platform site for my financial model, and you want to know what this is and how can it be useful for you. Before we get into the model, I would ask you a question. So assuming that you want to start a restaurant, I would like to ask you, what do you need most if you start a restaurant? Could it be a good concept, the secret sauce, or a lot of money, or maybe something else? Let's have a look. Let's test it. Let's have a look. Can you start a restaurant without a good concept? I'm pretty sure a good concept is important, but I think you also can start a restaurant without a good concept. I think it's possible because there are many restaurants out there running with an average concept, and at least they are surviving. So it's not the most important one. What about the secret sauce? Maybe you have the super recipe for fried chicken like Colonel Sanders, or you have another great recipe for a beverage or whatever. But could you start a restaurant without such a secret sauce? I'm sure you can, because many restaurants don't have such a secret sauce and they at least survive and run. So this couldn't be the most important one. And how about a stack of money? Could you start a restaurant without money? Well, completely without money, probably not possible, but with a little bit of money, probably yes, because you also could source your capital from other sources, for example, crowdfunding, or you can find investors, or you could ask for a loan. So there are several possibilities to raise capital. So the equity is not the only one and only possibility to start a restaurant. So what's it? What do I mean? I think this is it. It's the customers. I think the most important thing you need to run a restaurant successfully is customers, because without customers, you don't have a business, you don't make sales, nothing runs. But with customers, quite everything is possible. So this insight was the reason why I focused my whole financial model all around the customer. And this financial model, called the customer-centric financial model for restaurants, has special features. And I want to show you, as a little introduction, the most important ones. First of all, the model provides you with detailed planning for 6 traffic sources. To get customers, you need traffic, and to get traffic, you must do marketing. And there are 6 very popular and most spread sources for traffic, which are passers-by, email marketing, social media, online ads, flyer, and direct mail. And you can plan each one of them within the model. The next unique feature in this model is forecast for customers and sales for on-premises, takeaway, and 3 different delivery apps, for example, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub. Then you you can calculate individual conversion rates, prices, customer behavior, upselling success, and COGS for each single distribution channel. Further, you can plan 1 or 2 shifts, and you get the workforce utilization in %, which is very helpful to find the right staffing, to find the right amount of cooks, to plan the right amount of cooks and waiters. And the system also shows you the occupancy of seats, which is important to consider the capacity of your restaurant and to avoid an unrealistic and illusionary planning. So let's get right into it. I would like to show you this financial model. This is the cover page. And obviously this model is made within Excel. So to run this model, you of course need an Microsoft Excel license. On the top of the model, you see this navigation bar. This helps you to navigate through the input and result sheets. The red one here, you see the color code. Red means information sheet. It starts with cover. Then you get an executive summary with the most important core financials and marketing return on investment data. Then there's also a glossary page where you find I think more than 100 different terms that are explained in detail. Then you find 8 input sheets, starting with business. All input sheets or input fields are marked yellow. So here you see the yellow mark here in the navigation bar, and also all the fields that are input fields are also marked in light yellow. So you start your assumptions here in the sheet business. You start with rent per month, the passers-by per day, the seats in the restaurant that are possible, the opening days, and so on, the dwell time. So all this general business data to define the business. You also can put in some data for the location A and B, which are alternative locations you may consider, and you want to compare to find out which one of them is the most profitable one. By the way, as you hear from my accent, I'm not an US or English native speaker. I'm from Austria, not Australia. We don't have the kangaroos, we have the mountains. So I'm a mountain guy from Austria. And I'm the creator of this tool, and also I'm the author of some restaurant business books. Maybe you want to have a look at them. Business Plan to Start a Restaurant, Profit, the Restaurant Owner's Handbook. If you're interested in this topic, maybe you want to have a look at my website, restaurantcompass.com. There you'll find the infos about free tools. There's also price calculation tool and a very simple budget tool, which can help you to create your first simple budget within 5 minutes, and infos around the books. So, okay, let's get back to the tool. Okay, we had a look at the first assumption sheet, the business sheet. And finally, within the sheet, you can also define seasonality. Means if you know that the season, let's say March and April are weaker months, we say, for example, a third weaker, 30% weaker than the usual month, then you put here in the right percentage. And if you know that a month like August, let's say, is a strong month, you could increase the seasonality by a rate of %. Okay, so this is the business side. The next one is marketing. Here you can put in 5 different marketing campaigns. This is very helpful to define, because you develop a way that helps you to find how you can get the customers. Not only you guess how many customers you can get per day, but this tool is helpful to show you and help you to find a way to get the customer by certain marketing campaigns. And the most important one are email marketing, social media marketing, online search ads, flyer marketing, and the good old direct mail letter. So here you can, depending on the campaign type, you can put in your assumptions for opt-in rate, for the amount of messages you're sending, for the cost, for the system, for example, an email, for the amount, for the share of promoting on-premises or promoting takeaway, and so on. And you can define your marketing campaigns here in these sheets. The next sheet is conversion. which is very helpful because you can define the conversion rate of your traffic you generate from passers-by, from email, online search ad, and so on. You can define the conversion rate to customers per day, which means, for example, if you know that have 10,000 passers-by per day, which you put in here in the business sheet. Here we have the number 10,000 passers-by per day. It's a strong, that's a strong passers-by frequency. Then you could say, okay, how much is the conversion rate? And maybe you don't know the conversion yet, so you could start with a reference value. And I dug deep into this topic, and I found an interesting Swiss study which worked about which was about this topic, and they found reference values for certain types of restaurants and F&B businesses. And the reference value, the average conversion rate for restaurants is 0.8%, for example, or the conversion for takeaway is 1.4%, or the conversion for fast food restaurant or coffee shop is 1.1%. So you could start with a conversion rate like this and put your assumption in here, and you can define a different conversion rate for each kind of marketing, and also for your business, for on-premises or for takeaway. Further, you can define the amount of customers you plan to generate from delivery apps, for example, like DoorDash, Uber Eats, or Grubhub. Okay, next one is pricing. You can also define different prices, different customer behavior, different cost of goods, shrinkage and theft, and also your planned upselling success for each kind of distribution channel: on-premises, takeaway, DoorDash, and so on. The next one is the assumption sheet for personnel. You start this sheet with the input for the working time, the kitchen time per meal during MST in minutes. This means this is the time a cook needs on average to prepare a meal during rush hour. So this excludes the preparation time before the rush hour and includes only the time the cook needs to prepare the meal to make it ready during the rush hour. Let's say a cook needs on average 2 or 3 minutes per meal, then you put in this number here. And you can do this also for the service time, the time a waiter needs on average to service a customer with a meal and to service the customer with a beverage. And further, how much time the service needs on average to service a customer from T&D, means takeaway and delivery. So if you provide this service time and cooking time numbers, the system is able to calculate the workload and to give you a utilization number. And this utilization number here on the right hand side gives you the possibility and help to plan the amount of employees you need for cooks and waiters. So you can easily start to optimize the amount of employees you need, and you can do this also for one or for 2 shifts. So if you have a location with a high frequency of passers-by, you probably want to run not only 1 shift but also 2 shifts. So you can do this here, shift 1 and shift 2, and you see, for example, here in month 1, you generate probably 81 customers per day. And the question is now, how many cooks do you need to service these 81 customers per day? You see 2 cooks are here entered, and you see the utilization of the cooks is 109%. You could add another cook, and half and part-time cook, for example, and you see the utilization number drops down to 72% and is now in the green. Let's see here in month 5, we have a utilization of 131% during shift 1 for cooks. This means these cooks will be probably overwhelmed and they will need some help. So we put in one more cook and the number drops down to 87%. And this way you can find the ideal amount of employees you need to fit the needs from the sales you are planning. Okay, so this is the personal planning. The next one is the costs, the assumptions for other fixed costs. You can put in your numbers for utilities, fees and insurance, operating cost, leasing, maintenance and administration. And a special thing is the calculation for the payment processing fees. As you probably know, about 80% of sales in restaurants are paid by debit card or credit card. So this means that you also have to pay processing fees, and therefore you should also put these fees in your budget and in your fixed costs. And for this reason you can put in the fee in percent and the amount of sales that are paid by debit or credit card. So the next one, next assumption sheet is investment and depreciation. This is the sheet where you put in all the stuff, all the equipment you need to prepare your restaurant and for furniture and equipment and all this stuff. And you can put in an oven, and you say this costs $1,000, and UL is useful life. You say you can use it for 5 years, and you see the system calculates the depreciation per year and also per month, and this will be calculated and considered also in the income sheet later. Next one is the sheet for financing. Here you can enter your assumptions for your cash, for your equity, and also your needs for loan. Let's say you need $150,000 loan and you start with $50,000 in equity, so your total capital would be $200,000, and you can also enter the interest rate for your loan, let's say 8%, and the term in years, let's say it's a 7-year term, and the starting date if you want, and then you get all the calculations for the monthly payment, for the interest you pay per month, for the principal you pay per month, and for the balance of the loan. These data are being taken over into the income and balance and cash flow sheets. So these are the assumptions you need to put in. I'm pretty sure you can do this within an hour to get your first results. Of course you will have to work on them and watch them in detail and optimize them, but I'm pretty sure within an hour or so you will have your first draft you can work on and go deeper. Then you get the results. Let's have a short look. The first results here is the location. This helps you to compare a location, the planned location, with 2 alternative locations and to find the most profitable location. You see here, for example, at the end, you get the cost per potential customer, and you can compare, and you see the planned location is the most profitable one because at least the costs are the lowest one in comparison to the other locations. So next one is the sheet for passers-by. This helps you to find out how many customers you can generate from passers-by for your business on-premises or takeaway, and how much rent you pay for each customer. Next one, the next sheet is email. Email is one of the most important marketing campaigns you can run for a restaurant. And the email output helps you to find out how many customers you're winning for on-premises, for takeaway, and how much a customer generated through email marketing costs you. and further the contribution you generate and the return on investment you can achieve with email marketing. The similar kind of output you get here on social media. If you run a social media channel and post, then further the ads, online search ads, flyer and direct mail. Just put in your data for the marketing we already discussed here. Marketing, the budget per day, the subscription date, the cost per click and all this data. And then the system can calculate all the further contribution, sales data, return on investment and so on. You also get a detailed information about the customers you are acquiring, where they are coming from passers-by, from email and so on, in which month, and also the system calculates the occupancy on premises. This is very important because when the system keeps an eye on your occupancy and only lets you generate and plan sales that are within the possible capacity, you avoid to make the mistake to plan or budget illusionary sales that are impossible, because the sales you may be planning would be far out of reach because the capacity of your restaurant could be too small. And the system here helps you to avoid this mistake and only lets you plan sales that are within the possible capacity of your restaurant. So then next sheet is for sales. Here you find detailed sales numbers, COGS, cost of goods sold, and the app fees. Then the next one is income. Here we are at part 1 of the 3 famous statements: income, cash flow, and balance. The income is a classic income statement. It starts with sales, then cost of goods sold shows you the contribution, gross margin in percent, then the detailed expenses, the total expenses, expenses percent, EBITDA, and net profit. Then we come to the cash flow sheet. It's also a classic cash flow, and it shows you the operating cash flow, the free cash flow, and the net cash flow. Finally, the balance sheet. On one side we have the total assets, and on the other side we have the sum of liabilities and total equity. This financial model also has a balance check, so it shows you whether the balance is in balance, means whether the sum of assets is equal to the sum of liabilities and equity. If this is not the case, then this balance check turns red and gives you a number that deviates from the sum of the assets. Okay, all these sheets are interconnected that I already showed you, and there are 2 bonus sheets that are labeled dark yellow. It's recipe and it's costing. These are 2 sheets that are very helpful to calculate prices for single items, and also the costing sheet can help you to get an overview and for the COGS of the menu you are planning. So you can put in all the items for food and beverage you are planning for, and then as a result you get your average COGS, which should be about the same COGS number that you are planning here in your pricing. So when you plan a certain amount of COGS, let's say for on-premises COGS of 26.5%, then after planning this, and you should also calculate each single price of an item of meals and food and beverage in that way that the COGS here is the same or about the same as the COGS you were planning for your financial model. Well, that's it, my friend. That's an overview. You can download a free PDF to have a more detailed look detailed look at this model. And if you're interested in this topic, restaurant and tools, maybe you want to have a look at my website, restaurantcompass.com. You get some free tools, apps, and also articles about starting a restaurant, running a restaurant, and all this stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for your patience. Maybe you want to leave a comment, or if you have questions, write me an email or write here on the platform or on my website. Write some lines, and you can reach me online. I would be happy to hear from you, and I wish you good luck with your planning and your startup. Have a good time. Cheers, Peter.